Well, what a game for Andrew Kopp, and what a game for the Winnipeg Jets as they move to 6-2-2 on the season with a 5-1 win over the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. 5 different goal scorers for the Winnipeg Jets. The offense beautifully spread around, and Eric Comrie solid in goal, making a total of 17 saves on 18 shots. 3 straight wins for Eric Comrie, and if you go back to his last start in the previous season, it's actually 4 consecutive starts. So Eric Comrie doing well with Connor Hellebuck on the mend. Of course, this morning, Paul Maurice said he tested negative for COVID-19, but of course, there's still some protocol to get through to make sure he has a certain number of tests before he can come back. But Eric Comrie playing fantastic for the Winnipeg Jets, as are a number of players, including Andrew Kopp, who was the first star tonight. And you're going to see why in the highlights. Let's get to them right now on the JetsTV Live postgame show presented by Budweiser. The Jets got off to a fantastic start in this one, and it starts 200 feet from the opposition goal. As you can see, they make their way up the ice here. Nikolai Ehlers with a nice little play to the middle. Stastny starts the give and go with Andrew Kopp, and this pass is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous from Andrew Kopp. And Paul Stastny makes no mistake on the finish. Someone upstairs in the press box says, I wonder if Paul Stastny remembers a couple things about Marc-Andre Fleury from the Vegas Golden Knights days. Whatever it was, a nice goal for Paul Stastny, his 4th of the season. There's a great angle of that pass. Just incredible from Andrew Kopp. Jets would build on that on their first power play, so less than 2.5 minutes into the game here. Jets on the power play. This one comes around, and there's Neil Pionk, and he's got a little bit of time, just a bit. Ting! Perfect shot from Neil Pionk. His first of the season. He had built up a bunch of assists so far this year. He's among the team leaders in that category. He and Nate Schmidt coming into this one. But Neil Pionk finally getting rewarded with a shot from the faceoff dot that goes just inside the post. Perfect shot from Winnipeg's number 4, Kyle Connor, and Andrew Kopp, your first star of the game, picking up assists on that one. Just an absolutely perfect shot. Now, it looked like early in the second that the Chicago Blackhawks were going to get on the board. This one gets moved around and will make its way to the front of the net off this shot here. And it looks like Chicago, with Carpenter getting on the rebound there, was able to get on the board. But Jets challenge for offside and no goal. Matty Prefontaine, 3 for 3 so far this season on those. You can see just out of camera there, it's actually Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, both of them offside on this play. So good eyes from the video team relaying it to the head coaches. So the Winnipeg Jets take advantage of that a little bit later on in the period. Puck gets kind of seized up along the boards here, but it will get freed up right there. And here comes Andrew Kopp once again. And another fantastic pass. This one to Dominic Toninato. His first goal in the regular season as a member of the Winnipeg Jets. You'll remember in the playoffs last year, he scored the game winner in Game 1 against the Edmonton Oilers, but this is his first regular season goal for the Winnipeg Jets, and it's a beauty, as is the pass once again. You can see it just goes off the stick. Whatever. We're counting it. Fantastic pass from Andrew Kopp. His 7th assist of the season and 3rd of the game. He was in on the first 3 Jets goals. And just about 90 seconds later, the Jets are going to build on that lead a little bit more. Svechnikov back to Nate Schmidt. This one goes around. A nice play here from Kyle Connor. He's able to get free, and all he needs is a little bit of space, and bang. 8 goals on the season now for number 81. He leads the team in that category. It just seems everything he shoots is going in. Now, Marc-Andre Fleury, he had a busy night tonight. He made some big stops, especially in the third period, but sometimes you just got to tip your cap. That is an absolutely perfect shot. Just over the pad, under the blocker. One of the hardest ones for goaltenders to stop. Nate Schmidt, Evgeny Svechnikov pick up assists on that one. Early in the third period now, this puck is going to make its way back up the ice. Jets on a power play, but it's going to be the Chicago Blackhawks. This one gets tipped wide, goes off the end boards, and that's Mackenzie Entwistle right there with his 2nd of the season. That spoils the shutout bid for Eric Comrie. Seth Jones just gets enough of this one to send it off the back wall, just that perfect angle in order for that one to go in. Before we continue with the highlights, let's head next door to the Matt Frost Media Center.
And then, he just sauced it through 2 guys right on my stick, and it's kind of like the Sandlot. I just put my stick there and landed right on it. And then when you're that close, you kind of just, you don't have time to think, so you just put it in. I think it was a big goal for us.
Paul, you've seen lots of different players develop and go through their careers. I think in Andrew's case, some of this offensive firepower is these last 2 seasons, 3 seasons, a little later than a lot of guys kind of like hit that, but then you've got those passes. I think it was 3 assists tonight. What have you seen from him that shows that development?
I think it's just opportunity. I think when I was here 3 or 4 years ago, you always saw, but he was kind of playing a check line role. And then, you can ask anybody or anyone that's played the game long enough. You get put in the right spot and you take advantage of it. You're going to shine. And he plays the same two-way game. He's playing at center now, so he's got more responsibility defensively, but very easy to play with. Whether me and Fly are playing with him or other guys, but makes the game easier for everybody, starting in our defensive zone, and then. It's fun to see. I think it's fun to see he's kind of grown as a player, but like I said, I think he's kind of had the same work ethic and the same kind of, quiet kind of swagger to him, but, focus day in, day out to get better. And, once you get that opportunity, like I said, you take advantage of it. And Paul trusts him. We all trust him, and he's playing great.
Andrew, from he's talking about when you played the checking line role, you've always been a player that's been able to create offense off of pushing, and driving the puck to the net. Seems like I was watching you tonight and on the Toninato goal. It seems like you've got this ability to kind of slow things down, survey the play, and make those passes. And I'm not saying I never saw that from you earlier in your career, but it definitely seems like you've honed it to like a fine edge at this stage. How'd you do that?
A lot of work. I think, growing up, I guess I played this type of game. I feel like I've always kind of played this type of game, but now, I've just gotten better. And give credit where credit's due. I think working with Adam Oates has really helped in that situation. I feel like he's really helped, evolve my game, but it's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of video, and just kind of understanding where everyone's at on the ice. And I feel like I've always kind of been able to understand that, especially defensively, and trying now to kind of use that as an offensive mindset as well. And when we got guys like Nicky and Stas that are getting open and creating more room for me to play, then you might see a few more passing lanes, and trust that they're going to be there. So like you said, a lot of opportunity, but everything you said about me and how I play is equal to him in terms of making the game easier and always being in the right spots and making all the right reads and all those things. So I've worked on it tirelessly, but a lot of it's credit to people helping me out with it, and my line mates, and we're not finished. There's still levels that I can get to and get better.
To that point, I know you don't want to hang up the mission accomplished banner, but what kind of pride do you feel right now? You're pushing this really hot Winnipeg Jets team for the lead in scoring at this stage.
You want to be a bigger part of the team. I think we've had a great group here for a long time. It feels like. We've added some pieces this year that kind of feel like we round out the group pretty good. So, you take a lot of ownership in how we play and how we perform, and you just want to be, your best and be your best for the team. So, I feel confident in my game, confident that I'm helping the team, every night, whether it's on the score sheet or not on the score sheet, and I just kind of want to continue that.
And you talk about hard work and sort of opportunity meeting. Another guy that comes to mind that seems to be taking advantage of that is your goaltender, Eric Comrie, who you obviously know very well. He's put in the time here and waited for a chance, so just no doubt happy to see him kind of thrive now with this opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I was sitting on the bench at the last 4 minutes to kind of look up, and it's 5-1, and it's like, you don't really notice it in the game sometimes because it's just like, oh, it's just another save, but he was really solid tonight, and he's been solid for us. So really happy to see that, and talk about another guy that's just on the ice after practice working, just and humble too. I don't think he's ever said a bad word about anyone, and especially given the situation over the last couple of years, he could have been F this organization. They've seen it, and they haven't given an opportunity, and then for him to put that aside and come back and kind of shove it right up there, he's playing great, so happy for him.
Paul Maurice has a line he says where when you first meet Eric Comrie, you think this might not be real. A couple weeks go by, you're questioning, and then eventually you realize that that's just who he is. Can you relate to that experience at all?
I'm not so skeptical of other people as Paul, maybe. I don't know.
No, I think there's very few guys in this world he's never had a bad day. The other day he wasn't feeling well. I think he just had a bad night's sleep, and he was still trying to be positive all the time. And kind of, in a sense, his attitude, it reminds me of Fleury, where it's just always positive, always upbeat. never about him, always about other guys. And like he said, if he'll stay after practice. I mean, the other day, it was like 2 weeks ago, I remember his groin was bothering him, and like guys want to take breakaways, and he didn't complain, just sit out there and kept taking breakaways, taking one-timers from the slot, where those things are hitting you right in the helmet. He's having fun with it. But I think him and Bucky have a good relationship. They push each other, and I think it kind of takes a little pressure off Bucky when Com's playing this well.
Andrew, what have you enjoyed most about your natural position of center again?
Yeah, I think other than tonight, I've been pretty good in the dot. I think it's just, you're able to play with, I don't know about play with more speed, but get the puck moving a little bit more, and kind of figured that on the wing, but it's easier playing center, and I got two good guys on my wings that I can kind of dish the puck out to. I think you saw a couple times tonight a lot of those kick-out plays, and then you just kind of feel involved at all times in the game, which is nice. So. But at the same time, if I'm not the first guy back and, Stas or Nicky has to go low, I think I like Stas going low a little more than Nicky. But I think, I got a lot of trust in my line mates. And so when I'm not playing center, obviously Stas played it for years. So, everything's clicking right now.
Well, oh my goodness, look at this. Now, we told you on the pregame show with Bobby Matola, as the president of Academy Hospitality, to make sure you go to the In the Plaza events throughout the month of November, and he clearly knows the way to my heart, and that's food. So a whole bunch of it is around here. I mean, we got burgers, we got wings, we got fries, and I need friends. I need friends to help me eat it all. Anyways, this is what you're missing out on if you're not going to the In the Plaza events, let alone all the entertainment, the hot stoves. So make sure you go check that out, truenorthsquare.com/intheplaza. You'll be able to find out what's going on and when and who's going to be there. But really, look at this. You should go to every single one of them. I would eat one on camera, but unlike Food Network people, I'm not really that good at doing it. Anyways, while I, tie into this, let's go next door.
Eric, is there something special about playing a game against, the reigning Vezina winner and a legendary goalie in Marc-Andre Fleury? Like, do you almost look at that as an extra challenge when you know the other guy in the net is?
Yes, especially when he was my brother's teammates growing up too. They played together in Pittsburgh, so I got to watch him a lot in practice, and he was kind of an idol of mine growing up. I always got to see him up close, got to meet him personally when I was younger as well, so he was always someone I looked up to, and it was special to look across the ice and see him. It was meant a lot to me, and just reminiscing some old memories of just, I don't know how, I wasn't that young. I guess I was 15 when I met him. Got a picture with him. It was pretty cool, I thought. Watched him in practice, and he stopped every single puck in practice, and he battles as hard as anybody, and that's kind of a role model for me.
That's awesome. I know you're focused in the pregame warm-up, but did you have a moment where you go over and say anything to him, or no?
Not today, no. I think there's sometimes I do, but when I know the guy pretty well, like Aiden Hill, I've talked to a lot when we played this in San Jose, but I don't know him well enough to talk to him. I don't want to get him off his pregame routine. I don't know what it's like. I only talk to guys if they initiate with me, just because he's who he is. He's a Hall of Famer, and I don't want to disrupt anything he's doing.
Did some of that looking up to him, influence disposition-wise as well? Because the guys talk about how consistently positive you are, and we've certainly seen that. He's known for it. Did that register with you at that time?
I always heard about how good of a teammate he was for my brother. Like, my brother just loved playing with him. Said that never play with a guy that's worked harder than him. And I hear about it every day from Stas, and it's kind of the thing I try and role model myself. I don't know. I think I get my positively from my mom. I don't get it from him. I get it from my family. I get it. That's more of a trait thing I got passed down from family members, I think.
Feel like you could play again tomorrow?
Yeah. I've done it a lot in my career. And whenever my name gets called, I'm just go out there and do the best I can and try and get a win for my team.
That was seemed like a big moment, very similar to the last game where an offside negates a goal and then you guys kind of pull away a bit. I don't know, do you have a good view of that? Did you think that, geez, that might have been offside, or were you surprised when you see the challenge go up?
That one, I thought it might have been, but it was too close to see. It was a bang-bang play at the line, and that's kind of a weird angle for me to see, but that's why Matty gets paid as much as he does, because he's the best in the league. And I'd like to see his percentage, because it's got to be pretty high. He always says he got one wrong call, but it wasn't his fault. Someone else called it from the bench, so it wasn't him. But he's got to be close to 100%. And they should start keeping that stat for those guys too, by the way.
I think he's 3 for 3 this year.
Oh, he's the best at it, and he deserves all the credit for that.
I don't want to introduce a negative to you, but the goal that goes in, I mean, you're 15 minutes maybe away from a shutout at that point. Oh, maybe it was 19, but
Yeah.
Do you think about that at all after it, or?
No, I don't think so. No, I know what you're saying though, because it's kind of like it's kind of cool to be my first NHL shutout. It's kind of looking at something I'm looking forward to. But no, I mean, I'd be crazy to say it's not going through my mind. Of course, it's going through your mind, but I'm just trying to focus on the moment and focus on the process. I mean, it was a good play by them. I should try to steal the post. I mean, it was bang off the backboard right to the guy. Kind of a weird play on the PK on our power play. So it's unfortunate, but I mean, just go back to the process of the things and let them take care of itself.
If you see him every day, how would you describe Andrew Kopp's development?
Well, I've known him forever, and he's a really good buddy of mine. He's a really good player, and I think you see the product of his hard work. You watch him. I watch him every single day in practice. I get to watch how much extra time he puts on and how much extra stuff he does in the gym and just to get ready. I mean, he's got his workout routine. He's dialed in every single day he comes to the rink, and he's a true professional. I think what you see on the ice is a product of everything he does behind the scenes, and that's a really big testament to him. And he's a heck of a player. He's going to get better and better because he's just going to continue to work and continue to hone in on his craft and grow as a player and as a person.
Speaking of putting in extra time, Paul Stastny was saying a couple weeks back you guys were hanging out again after practice. You were taking a ton of breakaways, one-timers, all that stuff. You mentioned maybe your groin was bothering you just a little bit. So I guess my question is, like, doesn't a sense of self-preservation kick in at some point, or is it just like too much fun and too much fun to be around after that?
Well, I think we were betting on something at the time, and we were playing a little bit of a game, and I didn't want to get off at the time because I was doing pretty well. So. I don't know if it was for money. I think it was I forget what it was for, but it might have been for lunch or something like that. But all I know is I was winning and I was doing well. So I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter how badly I'm feeling right now. I'm going to stay out there because I'm winning right now, and I want to keep doing it.
I'm sorry, Scott, but I mean, the Price is Right showcase win today, right. And then the win. We gotta ask you about.
Who got the price? I got the Price is Right showcase.
Brendan Dillon told us. Said it was a good omen for you.
I didn't know that because I left. They told me I was in the workout room stretching, and then I left the room. I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
You didn't, because you did.
Oh, I'm gonna rub that in Schmee's face because he was giving me the hardest time after this. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's enough for Schmitty. Yeah, I'm telling him that I was right there.
You got it on tape.
Okay, yes, that's fantastic.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
It is fantastic. Also fantastic. I'm down one burger, so that's. Big shout out to Eric Comrie for talking prices right for a little bit. But fantastic performance by him in the net. Just another, and of course he says, like every goaltender, I can go the next day. We'll finish the highlights here, and it's going to be Nikolai Ehlers that's going to get on the board with his third of the season with, might I add, his parents and his sister in the crowd. So that's just, I mean, that's ideal if you're Nikolai Ehlers. The amount of times my parents came to games and went home, well, we'll say disappointed, is countless. So Nikolai Ehlers making good on the opportunity to make it 5-1. Remember, 5-1 for the Winnipeg Jets. This one's unassisted. Traded a stick for some Skittles earlier in the game, too, so some good karma came his way. And then the final seconds will tick off the clock here. The crowd very appreciative of this one. As Tuesday it kind of came down to the wire in the shootout. This one was an absolute no-doubter for the Winnipeg Jets as they pick up a 5-1 win. And as I mentioned, moved to 6-2-2, 14 points, which is actually their best start since they moved to Winnipeg in 2011. So fantastically done by the Winnipeg Jets to be able to, I mean, you lose your first two games. You have the heartbreaker against the Minnesota Wild. And then, but you're able to turn that into a point streak that has now gone 8 games. They're 6-0-2 in their last 8. Now, before head coach Paul Maurice gets to the podium, let's talk about our healthcare hero today. At every home Jets game this season, Mark Scheifele and the Winnipeg Jets are honoring the hard work of Manitoba healthcare workers through the Scheif's Healthcare Heroes program. Tonight, Scheif's Healthcare Hero is Penny McKinnon, an acute medical social worker in the emergency department at the Brandon Regional Health Center. Penny dedicates herself to working with an interdisciplinary team to provide a continuum of care for patients in the hospital and beyond. So join us in thanking Penny for her efforts and read more about her work at winnipegjets.com tomorrow morning. I mean, if you're the Winnipeg Jets at this point, you're looking at this 7-game homestand, and you're really wanting to take advantage of it. You won your first 2 games in October on home ice. You come in, you're able to build on this. Jets are now 4-0 on home ice. They got off to a great start at home last year. You know they're going to want to continue doing that as it goes on. A tough test tomorrow against the New York Islanders. Eric Comrie said, hey, I'm ready to go, but let's see what head coach Paul Maurice has to say about that.
Most of the Cop moving back to center on that line right now.
His all-around game says that he's not going to get beat in his own end. He's not going to cheat for a puck. He'll be under every puck. His foundational game is really strong defensively, and I don't think with the offense that he's shown, I don't think anything has changed in that. So at center ice, safe is the right word, kind of in all situations. He won't come out of kind of who he is to get more points. He's done a really good job. He's generating a lot, but he's positionally just really sound. That was true his first year, right? Andrew's one of those unusual players that you barely ever showed video to. I mean, that never happens with a young guy. He was just right in everything that he did. Could sit through a meeting, he picks things up that fast. He just puts them in his game. So he's a safe man to have on the ice.
Eric Comrie was just in here pumping his tires. So is Matty Prefontaine getting a big head these days?
Probably. You know what? We haven't had one yet. I don't think that there'd be a lot of disagreement on them. But finding them sometimes is a lot bigger challenge than people know, right? And finding the right one, because it wasn't the first whether the puck had crossed the line. I don't know that I'd have called that one even. You know, it has to be clean, and then when the puck came back out, then it was clean. But finding it is a challenge because you don't get all the feeds that you want right away, right? So there's a bunch of people screaming in his ear, and he's got to make the right call.
With the benefit of hindsight, when it comes to Andrew Copp, would you go back and maybe give him more of an offensive opportunity sooner, or did he meet that this year and maybe last year too?
So he would think the answer to that would have been, of course, and obviously. And I would say he's a very unique player that he's added it incrementally to his game. And the other reason that he didn't get that opportunity was because I gave it to Kyle Connor, Nick Ehlers, and Pat Laine. And a big part of those guys putting up the numbers that they did at a young age was Copp playing with Lowry and Armia, Tanev, Appleton. It let those guys go out and play against a different competition. You go back and we had a really good two-way center in Brian Little there that allowed those guys to come off the bench in a role where they could score a bunch of goals. So he kind of was put in a position that he could do. So that's also something that he could do at a young age too, right? Andrew could come in and be on a check-in line. It was a hell of a check-in line for us at a young age. But what it did, it wasn't against Andrew. It was because of the kind of players those other guys are.
With that checking line not being ridden as hard as it used to be in the old Copp Lowry X days, what are you hoping to learn from the more even matchups that your top three lines are getting right now?
So it's kind of, I think you'll see Lowry, Scheifele, Wheeler pull that duty quite a bit, and then I'm factoring other things to decide whether Dubois goes out or Copp goes out. If I don't get it on that shift and they've got another layer coming out, it'll have to do with how those other lines are built and things like that. So we will spread it around a little bit, but with the center iceman that we have, we should be able to do that.
Well, the Minnesota game was sort of a weird one, but I know you like large stretches of your team's play, and then the three other Central Division games, seems to me it's been among your better two-way hockey. Safe to say your team is enjoying a return to the Central Division, at least so far?
I think it's almost being at home, because three of those are at home, right? But that's a tough start. You don't want to say a lot about it at the start, but going out to the West Coast twice in 3 weeks, that's a tough start. A little bit better rested at home. But we play a better game when it's not a track meet. And I'm not going to take much out of this game. That's some people out of their lineup, whatever. We never allowed that game to get into a track meet for me. And that was, we were pretty good, responsible defensively straight through the thing. I thought we came off our offensive game for a stretch there. Half of the first first half of the second, but I thought our defensive game was right on straight through.
This is the best start this team has had since relocating back here. You've been here for 8 of those 10 years, something like that. But what do you attribute that to this year? It's one more point than it was before, but
I don't know. I think we're still very excited about where we could get to here, right? Like there's still lots to learn. There's lots of development to happen. We're playing with a lot of different things. I've liked the way we've played. I still think there's a set of metrics that we wanted to be better at that we are much better at, and that part. Most of those are in some ways defensive ideas. Still think that there's lots of room to grow in our offensive game.
So given the workload, what are the chances we see your Comrie again tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm going to consider it pretty strongly. I mean, especially because we, at his most fatigued for a goalie, which is the third period, we didn't tax him then. 4 shots. Yeah, there's some movement, but they had more zone time in that 10 minutes at the end of first, 10 minutes first to the seconds, where a guy's still really strong. So we'll wait to see. We're not going to ask him because I'm pretty sure what the answer is going to be. Think about it, but I think he's in a good position to get a chance to do that.
And just one quick one for me, Paul, but is the Toninato goal, maybe it's not a huge goal in the grand scheme of the game, but to get that payoff, and that's what you were talking about, you get cop out, I think, on that shift with those guys, but the idea of maybe creating a bit more with those guys.
Right, and Nick Ehlers' goal, he's coming, now we don't have those other guys, he's coming out with Harkins and Toninato again, right? So that's what you're hoping for with that idea. I thought we made a lot of plays at the offensive blue line tonight on goals, Stastny's goal, Toninato's goal, and normally I'm not a huge fan of that, but we did it with speed. And that was what made those things happen. We hit the line, and even if you don't complete the play, they're not moving forward, and you're dead-footed. You've got enough momentum there to drive them back on those plays that you shouldn't get yourself into trouble. So it'll be an entirely different game tomorrow. Tomorrow will not look anything like this at all, and so we get to enjoy this and then forget about it. Okay, guys.
Thanks, Paul.
Head coach Paul Maurice wrapping it up and saying, well, we're going to strongly consider Eric Comrie tomorrow. So we'll see what happens tomorrow as the Winnipeg Jets prepare to take on the New York Islanders. And hard to disagree with the head coach that it's going to be a very different game against an Islanders team known for their structure, known for their defensive abilities and being able to capitalize on turnovers. So it'll be interesting to see. And of course, if you want to come on down, winnipegjets.com/tickets is the place to go. That'll do it for us on the Jets TV Live postgame show presented by Budweiser. We will see you tomorrow.